and welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad. My name is Kyle, and as always, I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, my dad, Tim. I didn't do an old joke this time.
Wow.
Because I have to tell you, we have obviously taken a week off here. I was out on vacation. We started on Monday.
Not a week. A couple days.
We're
dropping late.
A couple days. We're dropping late this week, but Monday, we were at the Packer stockholder meeting, which we are going to go more detail here in a second. The reason I am not doing an old person joke is because there are two reasons I believe I am starting to become an old man, and I'm not a fan of it. So
and those would be?
It was Jack's birthday, my youngest son's birthday, turned 6, which is unacceptable, by the way. I remember the day he was born. He was born 2016, the year the Cubs won the World Series, so his birthday is a reminder what used to be for the rest of my life. But no, just a great year all around, right? Second son's born, Cubs win the World Series. I love 2016. Now, going to the Dells, I just last year, I was able to run around with these kids, full energy, no issues.
Do we need to explain what Wisconsin Dells is to those who are looking at from other parts of this country?
For those of you that don't know what it is, it's the water park capital of the world. A bunch of indoor, outdoor water parks in the middle of Wisconsin.
World's largest tourist trap.
It is, 100%. We stayed at Great Wolf Lodge. Shout out to Great Wolf Lodge for making it an amazing experience.
Did you have a Monk's Burger?
I had a Monk's Burger.
World's greatest hamburgers.
So
With
good.
all due respect to everybody who says In-N-Out burgers are all your local ones, there is no better hamburger. I think the grill has been there since the 1920s.
Probably.
They've never cleaned it. They just scrape it off and get it ready for the next day.
No, and it's something they used to have a real monkey in there. I think, whatever the monkey had is on that grill and makes the burgers amazing. Had moose jaw pizza. Which,
never had it.
Oh, it is the best pizza ever. It is so good. No matter what you order pizza-wise, it's so good. I mean, I'm so tired. Bang is not a sponsor, but I am drinking the energy drink today just to try and stay awake because these kids are nonstop. And I will tell you, I forgot how much a wave pool, which is Jack's favorite. I couldn't get him out of there, which is fine. We'd play. It was fun. But man, it takes it out of you. And I had to carry the tubes up because they have this giant toilet bowl they call the Howling Tornado, which Grayson loves because he's old. He's tall enough for it now.
One, just so everybody knows.
He's the older one. He's 9. He's tall enough to do it. And it's this big drop. I love it. It's fun. But there's just 50-pound tube that I had to carry up by myself.
Okay.
4 different times. I'm tired.
Okay. So while you were up there splashing and having fun and eating the food I love, yeah. I was watching the Golden Retriever.
Yeah. I want to remind you and everybody else on here, this is a dog that you forced upon me.
I didn't force him upon you. He loved you.
Yeah. You didn't force him upon me by just, here's the dog, by the way. It's just a visit for one night. Don't worry. Your kids won't fall in love with him instantly.
Your dog, and Cooper
loved
you. He
loved the
jumped
dog.
up on the couch, and you knew then it was yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not going to feel bad for you.
Oh, you are going to feel bad. Every time you go away and I have to watch the dog, he gets separation anxiety because he misses his boys. I had to go into the office for 3 or 4 hours. I came back. Something bad was smelling in the house.
Poor
Thankfully, he didn't do it on carpeting. He did it in the bathroom.
Poor dog.
Poor dog. I had to clean all that up. The smell was in the house until midnight.
Yeah. Thank you for making it disappear before I came home, by the way.
I had to use bleach.
I smelled it when I came in.
And that lovable dog was up 5 times to go outside. And he had to go out because he had the runs.
Let me ask you this.
So you're welcome for
taking care of the dog. Thank you for watching the house. I came home to a
disaster.
You had vacuumed. You had wiped down the counters. The house looked immaculate when I came home. Better than I left it, which I left it pretty clean. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I had to explain to the kids why we clean before we leave this week. It's like, because I don't want to come home to this. I want to come home to a clean house, and you left it better than I left it. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, that dog. But let me ask you this: how much junk food did you feed him?
None.
No.
No, because he was so sick from the night you left,
Yeah.
and he didn't eat. He had, I shouldn't say that. He had one bowl in between the 4 days you were gone.
So he's weird. Like, he doesn't eat when he's nervous.
No.
Like, there was a long time where he wouldn't eat until I came home. Like, if I had meetings or something, and he's still kind of that way.
I did give him a couple of the doggy treats just so he had something in his stomach.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like 2 of the chip dog biscuits, and that's all he had because he just was not a happy pup.
He's a weird dog like that. He's adopted.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can think of is that. But he's afraid that we're not going to come back. But we're not leaving him someplace. He's staying in our home for that reason.
If anybody in the audience knows why Cooper might be doing this or what the problem is, and any suggestions on how to handle it, because I'm going to have to be doing this again when you guys go camping for a week.
Yeah, and fireworks, he will sit outside with us when the fireworks are going off and just lay down and chill. No issues with that. He has no issues with anything else.
He'd be a great hunter dog.
But when it comes to being left alone, he's not a fan.
He's not alone. I was here, but he didn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
We need help.
Let us know in the comments below, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a video, and you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. But yes, I am officially becoming an old man. I am so exhausted from this week. I need a vacation from my vacation at this point.
You are old.
I am tired. But I will tell you, I dieted hardcore before going to the Dells. I was very good. It was a high-protein diet. I really wanted to see, if I could stick with the diet, and I did. I'm never doing it again. I'm going to be 270 pounds if I can help it. I enjoyed eating just junk for the 3 days we were in the Dells.
My body is made up of junk food.
Your body is made up of junk food, and we're going to talk about that more in detail here. But before we get in to just the preservatives that are in your body, I want to talk about the Packers stockholder meeting. The first one, it was a Christmas present from you, was Packers stock. Not something I expected. You see the helmet here? We have a shareholder helmet. I got the pullover that's on there. You and I went nuts.
Yes.
At the gift shop.
Wow.
To the point of ridiculousness.
We did. We dropped a couple $100 each probably. But the line at the gift shop, it's all stockholder stuff. They put out special for this event.
It's the only time they do it.
And the line actually started at the entrance to the pro shop.
Yeah.
Wrapped around the pro shop, went outside the building, and then back in so you could check out. It was insane. And I'm imagining because there are a ton of new shareholders this year.
Yeah, what did they end up saying? So Mark Murphy talked, Brian Gutekunst talked, and then the treasurer and some of the board members spoke as well. We stayed for actually most of the conversation. It was super interesting.
It's a beautiful day, too.
But they had talked about there were 100,000
I don't remember the number.
Stockholders, I believe it was. It was a lot more stockholders.
They raised $65 million.
For the new scoreboards that I'm very excited about. But they did say one thing interesting there, and Mark Murphy talked about it specifically. And I don't know how this is going to be possible, but they were talking about being almost positive that in either 2025 or 2027, Green Bay will host an NFL draft.
I don't know how they're going to do it because they had 500,000 people in Vegas. I think they had 300,000 in Nashville. Green Bay is a town of 98,000 people.
I think the sign, it would have been after the latest census, I think the sign said 101,000 when we drove in there.
Make me a liar for 3,000.
I will. But it still adds to the fact that you can fit the entire town of Green Bay comfortably in Lambeau Field.
I've got 2 questions. Number one, the most important one, was where are all of these people going to stay? Because there's just not enough hotel rooms in Green Bay, Wisconsin, or even Fox Valley, which is, if you look at a state map, it's where the big lake is in the middle of the state. I don't know where they're going to stay.
I don't know, because you have Green Bay, right? You have Appleton and Oshkosh, which is about
It's in the
45
Fox
minutes away.
Valley.
It's where the Cowboys stayed during the Ice Bowl.
Mhm.
They stayed in Appleton, about 45 minutes away. So
That's
if you're looking at history,
Okay. Appleton is literally 15 minutes away from Green Bay at the north end of it.
at the north end, fair. You're gonna look at people staying in Milwaukee.
Probably La Crosse, Madison, Chicago.
And all of these are 2 to 3 hours away from Green Bay.
Yeah, and the draft is such a party. People are going to be drinking. And here's my other question. Green Bay is going to tax every carrier's wireless network to the nth degree. I mean, you were at
Yeah, I don't know if
you were at the Bucks game when they won the championship, and they had 100,000 people outside Fiserv
no cell
Forum
service.
and no cell service.
No. And there were probably 5 extra towers, just mobile towers there, and they still had no cell service.
And they'll bring in the cows and the colts and everything to get ready for the event. But that's going to, where are, let's just conservatively say, 250,000 people come into Green Bay, and I think it'll be more than that. But where are they going to have the event? Are they going to do it in the bowl?
I mean, you have to. They built out Titletown, which is really cool to see.
It is cool.
Because they have a huge playground there. They have a full 100-yard football field over there.
Kick field goals there. You can
kick
do
field
it
goals.
all.
You can do it all. I mean, it's a whole field, which is awesome.
Outdoor foosball, which was fun.
Foosball, shuffleboard. I mean, they really a huge sledding hill. They've done a lot out there, and it's great. That'll be Mark Murphy's legacy, and it's a great legacy to have. That'll be there forever.
For the city.
You're gonna have to have it in the bowl. Where are these people gonna stay?
I don't know.
Because you look north of Green Bay, there are no hotels.
Well, there is no people.
There's nobody there.
There's woods north of Green Bay.
Right. Door County, there's no hotels.
Airbnb will be busy, but
Yeah.
I still don't think that's going to provide enough hotel rooms.
I mean, you look on the opposite side, Door County, for those of you that don't know Wisconsin, if you're looking at it, it's the thumb, right? There's no really hotels there. That's pretty open, and they keep it that way for a reason.
There's nothing east because that's Lake Michigan.
Right. There's nothing north. Like, nobody lives there.
I just don't know how they're going to, logistically, how they're going to do it. You and I talked about it. If Green Bay would have been the first site they did it when they moved out of New York, okay, I could see that because the crowd would have been the smallest.
Right.
Now it's the world's biggest party, 3-day party, 4-day party.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be staying in Chicago. And what about those draft picks? Like, where are they going to stay? I don't know if there's enough hotels in Green Bay, Wisconsin
for the support
staff, for the players that are going to stay there, for the agents, for the families, for the camera crews. I don't think there's enough hotels in Green Bay for just those people. We're not even including fans. And parking, you already park in people's yards in Green Bay. You don't have a parking structure there. Like, the part of the charm of Green Bay is it's a neighborhood. You're parking in people's lawns for games.
They're going to have party buses bringing them in from Milwaukee and Chicago. And
you're going to have people parking at American Family Field in Milwaukee.
Probably. That's probably where they'll stage buses. It's just going to be insanity.
I'd love to see just how they expect this to work. I don't think a lot of people understand how small Green Bay really is.
I met with a couple people from the Bucks earlier this week after the shareholders meeting. And I kept thinking while we were in the meeting, Fiserv would be a better place for the draft because they have that whole area and you're in Milwaukee and it's a closer drive. But the Packers would never do that, and for good reason. They want it to be at Lambeau.
Right, which is, it will look great on television.
It'll be an amazing event.
It will be an amazing event. It'll look great on television.
We will be there.
We'll try.
I
mean, luckily, I don't drink anymore, so I'm not worried about driving. I am going to be terrified about the other people on the road that will 100% be drinking with no hotels around for these people to go to. It's not like Chicago where you walk to your hotel.
No, I mean, the draft in Chicago, literally, they'd have all the hotels within walking distance.
Right. Vegas was the same way. Nashville is 10 times bigger, if not more, than Green Bay. Like, it's
set up for those kind of events.
I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't. And it'll be interesting to see the design. Obviously, this is a place we get to go every single year at this point. So I'm very excited to see next year because more of those conversations will be happening. Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, coach and GM, did get extensions. Wasn't announced at the
No.
stockholder meeting. Was announced
And
2 hours later.
And Ron, their financial officer, I can't remember.
Russ
Ball, thank you.
Russ Ball, who I have to assume is in line to be the next.
I'm not sure about that. You brought that up, and they hired Murphy from the outside when Harlan resigned, even though Murphy has a lot of ties to the Packers. He played for them and
right,
knows the team and the structure.
You want a finance guy, though. I mean, Russ Ball is one of the best cap experts in the league.
Yeah, but I want him doing that. When you become the president of the Packers, your job is to make sure that the Packers, marketing-wise and overall business-wise, keep things flowing. And Ball could do that, but I think he's still bringing a president from the outside.
We'll see. It'll be interesting. I will tell you, though, the Packers stockholder meeting, for anybody interested in going,
well, you have to
is a board meeting.
It really is, yeah.
It is a pretty boring meeting, especially when you don't get anything back from your stock. Like, it's not like they're talking about financials where, hey, this impacts me financially. No, I just paid $300 to sit here. You paid $300 for a Christmas present for me. Thank you. And, to sit here. Like,
apparently they allowed we didn't stay till the entire end of the stockholders meeting because, quite honestly,
they were over my head at the end there. I was like, this is nothing.
It was like Charlie Brown's teacher, bonk, bonk, bonk. Anyways, but I still have a question, and I would have asked it if I would have been there for the question and answer period. Why is Paul Horney's number not officially retired in Green Bay?
Because he gambled. Well, he didn't gamble. He was a greeter at a casino, and he was suspended for a year for it.
The entire NFL at this point is gambling.
That's not
Paul Horney. It is too.
I mean, what's his name?
You gonna join us here?
Sorry, I forgot. I went to the gym today and forgot to turn off my watch. And ADD kicks in. Squirrel.
Yeah, there was a squirrel, and you were gone.
I'm there.
Anyways,
but Calvin Ridley just got suspended for.
Paul Horney and Alex Karras were suspended for a year because they were greeters at a casino in Atlantic City.
I got to assume that's why.
No.
You don't let anybody wear it.
Paul Horney is in the Hall of Fame. Nobody wears number 5. Right. And if there's any one player that should have his number retired in Green Bay, it's the Golden Boy.
But they haven't retired the number 1 either. Like, nobody wears it.
Nobody wears number 1 because it's for the stockholders, as we found out.
Yeah, the number 1 is for the stockholders, but they retired 12 in Seattle for the 12th man.
Fine.
But we haven't retired 1. Just nobody's allowed to wear it.
Nobody wears it, but number 5.
Nobody's allowed to wear 5. I agree.
5 needs
to be retired.
5 needs to be on that ring of, not just a ring of honor, but it needs to be up there with the retired numbers.
There are teams with more retired numbers than the Packers have. I don't know why it's not retired. I'm on the same page.
If anybody out there can tell me why Paul Horney's number should not be one of the Packers' retired numbers, I'd love to hear you. And if you have a reason why that shouldn't be, you're wrong. But I still want to hear your logic.
I'm with you. We're going to step away from the Packers, but we're not stepping away from football. We have 2 more great topics we want to talk about, one being Kyler Murray, one being the Big Ten. Before we get into that, though, I do want to give a shout-out to a place. So you'll see the Mickey Mantle there. I've passed this place several times. It's a collector's asylum is the name of it. Landon, Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. But I passed it several times. I was like, you know what? I got to stop in here at least once. And the collections they have there are amazing. I mean, I'm a big comic book fan, as you can tell with the Batman that you've seen behind me.
Books.
Tons of comic books.
It's a dangerous store for me.
Tons of toys. I mean, original in-package Ninja Turtle toys that I remember having as a kid. And just enough sports memorabilia there to really keep you interested. Mickey Mantle being one of them, it was a great deal. I couldn't pass up the opportunity, and it's a legit collectible. Like it was a great store. I have to give a shout out to Collector's Asylum in Landon, Wisconsin.
It's almost to the point of being something. If you're from out of the area, you need to make a trip to Landon, Wisconsin to go to Collectors Asylum because the comic book collection they have there is off the charts.
It is.
It's bigger than most comic book stores I've ever seen.
It is. And it's little finds because it is a small town. You know, they have stuff that normally would get picked up pretty quick in collection stores in bigger cities.
Happy Days lunchboxes.
Right. But they have a lot of things in there that normally collectors are going to pick up, and I don't think they do a lot of online stuff. So it's really stuff you're going to find here in the store. Again, Collectors Asylum in Landon, Wisconsin. You got the address.
2549, so 20549 West Main Street. If you want to give them a call, please do. 262-422-4049. That's 262 is the area code in Landon, Wisconsin. 422-4049.
Let them know Sports Talk with Dad sent you. And again, check it out. It is definitely worth it to see. Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, the guy who has to be told by his mom and dad or their ownership, you will study your playbook, young man.
Now, this has become big news in the week I have been gone. It's something that keeps popping up on my phone with updates. You have texted me about this. Other people have texted me about this several times.
Kyler Murray finally had to address it to the media.
An unscheduled press conference to talk about this.
And go, that's a lot of just very disrespectful to say that I wouldn't study. Well, apparently you weren't. Because if you were, the Cardinals wouldn't have put it in there unless there has to be a reason.
So start from the beginning because we are a little behind on this. This has been news going on all week. Kyler Murray signs a $230 million contract. 5 years, $230 million. Finally gets his extension, probably because he was looking at going into baseball, right? The Cardinals are tied to him. They got rid of Josh Rosen, who was their first-round pick the year before, completely gave up on him. Cliff Kingsbury comes in, says, that's my guy, number one overall pick. They're tied at the hip at this point. He's not going anywhere. You had to re-sign him. It gets leaked that there is a stipulation in his contract that says you will study for 4 hours a week game film without any distractions in the background.
Right,
something that has been, from my understanding, in no other contract. Why would you put that in another contract? But to say you can do this with no distractions, nothing in the background, no tablet, no anything, that doesn't get put into a contract, and it 100% doesn't get signed without that being an actual conversation that has happened in the past.
There's smoke all over this, and there has to be fire associated with that smoke for that to be included in any contract. Because I've never seen it. Quarterbacks, even Brett Favre talks about how he studied overnight.
Brett Favre wasn't a big studier.
He wasn't a big studier, but he knew enough. He studied and he watched film.
He asked, who was it? Not Trent Dilfer. Who am I thinking of? Who's the backup quarterback for the Packers that won the Heisman?
Ty Detmer?
Ty Detmer. Asked Ty Detmer what a cover 2 defense was. He's like, oh, that's what that is? I didn't know that's what it was called.
Well, that was very early in his career.
It was. But to that point, hey, and for him to come out and say, listen, I was drafted top 10 in both baseball and football. Yeah, you're a great athlete. You won a Heisman. You're an outstanding athlete. Nobody's denying that. But where is this coming from? Because
he's 5'10".
He's 5'10".
So
shorter than me by 2 inches.
His point is, okay, I'm 5'10". I have to study so I can get away from these guys. Who wouldn't study to get away from the defenses I'm going to be facing? It just doesn't make sense. Obviously, it's an issue. Or the owner of the Cardinals is well known for not being the best owner or not being the loosest with the wallet owner.
True.
Does he just think this guy's not smart enough to play
from the word go? I don't think it's anything to do with intelligence. I think Kyler Murray is a very smart guy.
I do too. He's a very smart guy.
I don't know, however, if he's mature enough for the position. And honestly, that press conference afterwards where he makes a big deal out of this proves to me that there's some maturity issues. And that's not Murray's fault. He's still a young guy. What is he, 23, 24? I mean, he's pretty young.
But Quarterbacks, more than any other player, are the face of your franchise. And
It's an interesting move.
You just embarrassed the face of your franchise.
Yeah,
the
you
guy
did.
You just re-signed.
You did. I mean, there's two steps to it. One, if you're the Cardinals, if you're going to give somebody a $230 million contract and you have to put a stipulation in that this guy needs to study film, you probably shouldn't be giving that guy a $230 million contract. I mean, why would you trust him with your team if you have to put in a stipulation that, hey, you have to study film?
It makes no sense to me.
I take Kyler Murray that he's studying film. I cut you off. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, I was just going to ask, who leaked it? Was it his agent that leaked it? Because whoever leaked it is embarrassing his own player, whether it's the Cardinals or his agent.
Yeah, I don't know who would have leaked that.
Or if it just was found out, for whatever reason.
Somebody said something,
league office,
and it got leaked. I don't know who would have leaked that, but it was there. And again, if you're paying somebody $230 million, especially your quarterback, and you have to put a stipulation in that they have to study, why in the world would that be your quarterback?
Here's one reason why. You have just lit a fire under Kyler Murray.
I hope so.
Come out and prove that he is the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and deserves that money that he got, and that he will know every defense he's going to play, because he's in a really tough division.
It is. I mean, it could be.
Well, tough conference.
Tough conference. Division, I mean, who do you have? You have Seattle. Who knows what's going on there?
But you still have the Rams there, who are still going to be tough.
You have the Rams who are going to be tough. You have
San
Francisco. We'll see what Trey Lance is. I just don't know why that stipulation was put in there. I don't know why it was leaked. I don't know why Kyler Murray came out and allowed this to be a distraction.
He made it even more of a story by addressing it.
This was a blip in the social media world. He took it personally. Listen, it would upset me too, but that should have been discussed before the contract.
That's something you talk about behind closed doors. I mean, there's an old saying, you criticize in private, you praise in public.
The only thing I can think is that Murray didn't know that was in the contract.
His agent did, and
his agent did.
His agent, if his agent knew it and didn't tell his player, I'd be getting a new agent, because you just embarrassed me in front of the entire nation, world, as big as the NFL has gotten.
It's interesting, but he did not do himself any favors coming out and do that press conference. I mean, he needs to light it up this year. He needs to make people forget about this.
One of two things is going to happen. He's either going to light it up and take his game to the next level, or this is going to crush him.
Well, he'll be playing baseball.
He's going to be playing football now, but it could destroy his confidence, and he's not the player he even was last year and the year before.
Well, God announced they took that stipulation out of the contract. It's not there anymore.
It's in his head. It's never going to leave his head.
It's there forever.
Right.
Like, in court of public opinion, you've just created something that may or may not be true.
What do you think the Arizona fans think? If you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, please put in the comments what your feelings are about this. Or if you're an NFL fan, it was never in Tom Brady's contract. It was never in Aaron Rodgers' contract.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't have that in his contract.
Nobody's ever had that in his contract.
Listen, I hope he comes out and lights it up. But we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. But while you're down there commenting on this story, don't forget to do this right here, which is like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a new video, and you get to enjoy the show as much as we enjoy making it.
I really should have, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, especially when you're doing our promo, but I was just thinking, I should have done that with you when you were in grade school or high school, come up with a contract where I had to force you to turn in your homework, because it was always done. You just never turned it in.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
That just never made sense to me. You did the homework. It was done correctly. I checked it. Your mom checked it.
Yeah, forget it at home.
Find out you didn't, because we practically hot glued it to your shirt a couple times. But we find out from the teacher, it never got turned in.
You're asking me to get into the mind of a 13-year-old me, and I'm not that kid anymore.
Thank God.
I agree.
But you were that kid, so you must have some deep-seated explanation for why you wouldn't just tune in your homework. Here you go.
I don't live in the past. I enjoy the present and get excited for the future.
That's a nice dodge.
Thank you.
Just slid right around that.
I don't live in the past, man. Past is the past. The now is the now, and the future is a beautiful thing that is coming our way.
In other words, you have an answer. You just are refusing to give it to me.
I just don't live in the past. It was a long time ago. I don't live in yesterday. I'm not going to live in 17 years ago.
I want to know why you never turned in your homework.
Well, you have to go back in time and talk to the past me because that person is gone.
Well,
only the present me exists right now, and the future me will exist at some point.
Your past you exists in the form of your children.
Maybe, but the past is the past. They're still my future.
God.
We don't live in the
past. Go
on
to the next topic.
Going on to the next topic, I did want to talk about one thing, and this is something you and I have been constantly talking about.
So you said before the last topic you wanted to talk about one thing. This is actually the second thing we're talking about.
It is. This is the last thing I want to talk about on this episode here, which is the Big Ten. You and I have been discussing this in many different ways, and I feel like there is this perception nationally, especially by people that don't follow the Big Ten, that USC and UCLA are walking into a conference that they're just going to automatically be one of the big teams in.
I think they're making a huge mistake if that's the assumption they're making. What's the old saying about assuming?
I mean, it depends if you want to go with the Under Siege Tommy Lee Jones line, which is assumptions is the mother of all F-ups.
Yes, I was thinking of the other ones. You make an ass of you and me.
Yeah, I like the Tommy Lee line better.
Oh, I do too. It's a great line. But we try not to swear on this show.
I bleeped it in my own way. Here,
That's true. That's true.
I don't even know where my bleep is.
Don't even do it. It's too late to do it now.
It's too late. I've passed that opportunity. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, these are teams that haven't been competing in the Pac-10 or Pac-12, whatever it's called now, the Pac-12.
And they're smaller teams because they had to compete against the Oregons, depending on which way you say it out there.
Oregon is how it's pronounced.
And we have Oregon, Wisconsin.
Correct. Oregon is how you pronounce it.
You
have Oregon, you have Washington, you have Arizona.
Small teams.
Small teams with a lot of speed.
Right. You're coming into a conference where routinely schools just pound the living.
It's one in the trenches. In the Big Ten, you win in the trenches. You got 300-pound offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
You got 250 to 275-pound, if not 300-pound defensive linemen.
Not to mention the running backs.
I mean, you're talking about players like Joey Bosa.
Graham Allen, the running back for Wisconsin.
Yeah, you got him who's super fast.
Super fast and super big.
And big. I mean, you had running backs like Saquon Barkley who was just running people over. You got linebackers that are big, big boys.
And hit hard. And honestly, it's why when they get to the playoffs against some of the bigger speed teams from down south that they don't do so well. But now USC is going to have to come in, and I think in their minds it's going to be Ohio State, Michigan, and USC. And I think they've got a rude awakening coming.
The Big Ten beats each other up.
Badly.
I mean, Iowa is as much of a beat up to Ohio State as Michigan is. I mean, again, it's in the trenches, and over a long season, if you don't have big guys up front on both offense and defense, it's going to be a long season. You may win early, but come late in the season, you're going to be tired. You're going to be hurt. Look at the teams that tried to go small in the Big Ten. Michigan tried to go small with Rich Rodriguez.
Wisconsin tried to go
destroyed.
Wisconsin tried
to go small. They got destroyed, and it's not because it's not something that can win. And the SEC has proven it can beat the Big Ten in one game.
One game. But
there's a reason Alabama dominates the SEC and why Georgia's starting to dominate in the SEC. It's because they have those big guys up front, plus they have the speed.
So USC is going to come into a situation where they may have to play, and just for an example, they could have to play Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State on back-to-back-to-back weeks. They don't see that in in the Pac-12 or whatever.
No, don't forget Nebraska.
Nebraska, Minnesota.
Minnesota's got big boys up front. Penn State.
And we didn't even, exactly. And we didn't even mention Michigan and Ohio State.
Not even mentioning Northwestern's got some big guys up front.
Illinois is turning it around.
I mean, you got some corn-fed animals.
Yes.
Here in the Midwest.
There's a reason a lot of the Big Ten offensive linemen are first-round draft picks.
Right.
Because they are bigger than in college, they're bigger than the NFL offensive linemen.
Sometimes.
I mean, look at back in the day when Wisconsin had Barry Alvarez there. He routinely had 300-pound linemen all the way across the line.
Offense and defense.
And Paul Chris is rebuilding that.
Yeah, you got Ryan Miller, who's got the big guys up front. I mean, in the Big Ten, you need big guys up front to survive. And USC and UCLA aren't built that way at all.
Not right now. I mean, Kiffin may turn it around.
Here's the other thing they're going to see that I don't think USC fans, and especially not UCLA fans, are prepared for.
No.
Big Ten fans travel.
You're going to be going to your home games, and you're going to see more of the opposing colors than you are your own. I mean,
UCLA doesn't sell out games.
No.
They're playing at 1/3 capacity.
But if you're in the late November, late October, and you live in Iowa or Wisconsin or Michigan, you are on your way to sunny Southern California.
Yeah, you got boosters that are going to travel to those games.
Yes, every game.
There's a reason they want these Big Ten teams playing in bowl games.
Correct.
Because they travel.
And I don't think USC or UCLA is ready for that. I think UCLA is going to be down with Rutgers.
Listen, Rutgers won't travel. Rutgers shouldn't be in the Big Ten.
We've had that conversation. Maryland, I don't have a problem
Maryland
with.
travels.
Maryland
fits. I mean, the football team's not great, but they at least fit in the Big Ten a little bit better. They add to the basketball side of things.
They do.
I mean, USC is going to add a lot to track and field. UCLA is going to add a lot to that as well. Volleyball is now
women's volleyball
holy super conference, and we've talked about that already.
I mean,
but just on the football side alone, I mean, Northwestern travels.
Yes.
Minnesota fans travel.
Purdue fans, Indiana fans, pick your Big Ten city. They all travel.
Are your USC fans ready to go to the Midwest in away games?
No.
Are they going to travel to Iowa?
Southern California people? No.
Are they going to travel to Ohio?
In November?
Are they going to travel to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship?
I do think they'll do that. I think. Maybe. Might be tough. Do you think they even get to the Big Ten? Because they come into the league in 2023.
They're not big enough to survive in this conference. They don't have Clay Matthews as a linebacker anymore. I mean, we'll see what Lincoln Riley can do.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me because I think I said Lane Kiffin. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't even hear it. So, fair enough. But Lincoln Riley is going to do a great job recruiting in LA. He's going to get those California kids to play there. And you may get some kids in the Midwest to play there as well because they'll still get to travel.
It's quite a culture shock, though.
If you're USC and you're used to playing in front of crowd, I mean, really, who's the one sellout crowd they have is that's going to be the size of the stadiums in the Big Ten is Oregon.
Oregon, UCLA.
Let me check something. Average Pac-12 attendance.
I don't think their stadiums are that big.
Let's see. Average. What is the average attendance? No, not for college football game. Ranking the Pac-12 teams by 5-year attendance. Number 1 is the Washington Huskies, which averages 66,000 fans. 500 fans, 66,500 fans, followed by the USC Trojans, which average 66,200 fans.
That's smaller than almost every stadium in the Big Ten. I mean, Iowa's got a stadium of 80,000.
So the largest attendance in the last 5 years is USC at 66,200, and the Washington Huskies at 66,500. Let's see, average Big Ten.
Well, you've got the shoe. You've got Camp Randall, which is like 80,000 now. This moment of silence.
This moment, yeah. The letter A. Let's see. Penn State ranks number 2 in 2021 attendance
It's got to
nationally.
be Michigan's number one.
The average attendance for a Michigan football game is over 100,000.
Right. They've got the second biggest stadium in the country.
The average attendance for a Penn State game is over 100,000.
Yeah.
Ohio State sells out every single time. What do they have, like 90,000? Yeah, 100,000. Cool.
Wisconsin's like 80,000.
84,000 is their average game attendance.
And that's a sellout. So they're going to be coming into a situation where they're going to be dominated by the opposing team's fans in almost every stadium they go into.
Yeah.
Can they win? Yes, they're great. They're a great team.
The largest attendance in the Pac-12, 66,000, would rank 8th in the Big Ten.
So
USC ranks 9th in the Big Ten if you include the Pac-12 and the Big Ten in attendance.
Well, I think, what is it, UCLA that plays at the Rose Bowl? Or is it USC?
UCLA plays at the Rose Bowl, USC plays at the Coliseum.
Okay, so UCLA can almost count on the fact that they're going to be outnumbered by Big Ten fans at almost every game they play.
Almost every game they play.
And when they come to the other stadiums, there's not a lot of tickets available.
No, their highest capacity, again, is about 67,000 is their biggest stadium. The Big Ten has 3 stadiums that fit more than 100,000 people.
And there's a lot of them that are in that 80 to 100,000.
They have 7 stadiums that fit more than 70,000.
I mean, the only stadiums that are really small would be Rutgers, probably Northwestern, because their Northwestern still plays in a little bandbox.
Northwestern does. They do it intentionally.
Yes.
Illinois fits 60,000. Ryan Field is by far the smallest at 49,000, which is Northwestern.
But that's a pit to play in.
It's not a fun place to play.
No. They have no idea what it's going to be like to go in and play in that damn stadium that ruins more Wisconsin.
That's 49,000 fans that sound like 100,000. That thing echoes.
That damn stadium has ruined more Wisconsin seasons than I even care to think about.
It's ruined everybody's stadiums. Ridiculous. Illinois is loud. Again, I don't believe those fans are prepared for what they're about to walk into. Whiteouts are a thing. It's 106,000 people all in white.
Yes.
And they make the opposing teams wear white.
On purpose.
It's the most brilliant thing in the world. They're going to wear their blues. You're going to have to wear your whites. Good luck seeing your players while our entire stadium is white. I mean, it's complete and total whiteout.
Well,
Ohio State is a horseshoe. I mean,
yes.
The Big House is the large 109,000 fans that fill out every single time. The largest stadium you face is 50,000 less than what the Big House holds.
And Ohio State does not treat opposing fans very well.
Big Ten fans in general aren't very nice to outsiders.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, okay. You do remember I got called an asshole by an entire stadium.
For a good reason.
In Wisconsin.
For a good reason.
Like, that happened.
You were
80,000 people did a chant calling me an asshole.
Because you were an Ohio State fan in the middle of Wisconsin territory on ESPN's Saturday Night Football.
I tried the OHIO chant,
and
the entire stadium.
I was proud.
Did a chant.
But I was proud of you because you took it.
I just called it. I'm a guest in that stadium. I'm an opposing fan.
After Wisconsin ran back the opening kickoff and you knew the route was on.
Oh, that was a lot of people stared at me after that one. It was like, uh-oh.
We almost had to get armed guards to get you to the car.
Here we go. It was an interesting place to be. It's going to be interesting. Again, USC and UCLA are very small right now. The average offensive lineman, let's go into this real quick. What's the average size? Average offensive. Oh, no.
As you can tell, we do a lot of show prep for this show.
They already know we don't.
We plan these things out well in advance.
We've tried, and our shows are never as good when we actually prep. So the average offensive lineman in the Big Ten, 6 foot 4.3 inches tall and 309 pounds as of 2021.
Okay, so I just looked up the Wisconsin starting offensive lineman. 6'6", 312, 6'6", 311, 6'4", 305, 6'4", 310. These are big, big, big boys that they're going to be coming in and having to move around.
All right, I'm looking at USC right now.
Okay. You're just looking at them because you're not sharing with the audience what you're looking at.
So often they got some big offensive linemen at USC, man. 6'2", 305, 6'7", 310, 6'2", 295, 6'5", 310, 6'4", 285.
So they've dominated the Pac-12. I mean, here's a guy from Wisconsin, 6'7", 315.
Jeez.
6'6", 320. I mean, these are massive human beings. And the problem is, how deep is USC? I know they're one of the blue bloods of college football, so they just reload, or that was the history of it. But are they going to be able to put up with the constant pounding they're going to get in the Big Ten?
They're not used to it.
They're not used to it. Not week in and week out.
Offensive lineman UCLA is a different story. So they got 6'3", but 260 pounds. 6'2", 285 pounds. They have one guy who's 6'5", 310.
Okay.
And he's their biggest offensive lineman. You have a 6'6", 270 offensive lineman.
That's a defensive lineman in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I honestly
6'4", 300, 6'3", 291, 6'4", 270. I mean, that's compared to what you're going to be facing in the Big Ten. If that's your starting offensive line.
Well,
you're gonna get hurt.
Here's the deal. They're going to be coming into the Big Ten. I think over the next 5 years, you're going to have 2 super conferences in the SEC and then the Big Ten, where they'll get to the Big Ten. I can see getting to 30 teams, and you're having 4 divisions within each conference and playing it down. Same with the SEC. The question is going to be, what does the other divisions do at that point? Do they all go together? It's going to be.
I think the Big 12 will survive for a while. They're bringing in some more schools. I think they'll become more of the mid-conference at this point. They're not going to obviously be one of the big 2 conferences, but Cincinnati, Boise State are going there. I think they'll get some of the Pac-10, Pac-12 schools.
Here's going to be quick.
There will be 3 conferences, at least for a while.
Sure, for a while. I think the next 2 big chips to fall, and the remaining ones, are Clemson and Notre Dame, and where they're going to go. Personally, I would love to see a Florida team, as we talked about, in the Big Ten. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily, but I'd love to see it.
I could see Miami going to the Big Ten. You'd have to bring 2 Florida schools to make it happen.
And I don't see that happening.
I don't think Florida State's going to join the Big Ten. Florida State fits too well in the SEC.
They've got the national rival with Florida.
Unless you decide to bring in UCF and bring in Central Florida or Southern Florida.
I don't see
with
that
Miami.
Notre
Dame's the big chip to fall. Where's Notre Dame going to go?
Odds are Big Ten. I still think Big Ten is the odds are in favor for that. They're not going to go to the SEC.
They're not going to go to the SEC. They could go to the ACC.
And the big thing is going to trigger that is, okay, now NBC is going to have a Big Ten portion of the contract as well.
Correct.
Notre Dame's one school, one contract. NBC is going to go, we need more than just your games. They're going to force the issue, and as much as they don't want to see it, they want to remain independent for all the reasons we've all heard about. It's time Notre Dame picks a division, a conference, and gets in there and brings all of their programs over there. It's going to, and in the long term, it will be good for Notre Dame and its athletes.
They're in conferences in every other sport except for football.
Right.
Well, they're Big Ten for hockey. ACC obviously doesn't have a hockey a hockey program. Thank you.
Sure.
So they'll go. They're in the Big Ten for college.
Yes, they are. That's amazing.
They're in the Big Ten for hockey. They're in the ACC for basketball and
Notre Dame
else.
is a college. Just so you know.
Listen, I warned when we started this show. I am tired. It has been a very long week. A fun week, but I am sleeping tomorrow.
It's been a fun week, but I wanted to do this show on Monday so we could drop it on Tuesday.
Yeah,
so
we
everybody
didn't.
knows.
We didn't. We were in Green Bay.
We could have done it that night.
Yeah,
maybe.
we weren't doing it that night.
Well, you and I know one thing.
I was tired.
We can never record this show at 10 o'clock at night.
No.
You never want to see us record a show at that time.
Oh, I won't be awake. It's just not going to happen. That's when we would have had to record on Monday. It wasn't going to happen.
Because we played golf when we got back, too.
Here's another crazy thing. So you ready for this?
Sure.
So the smallest stadium is Washington State in the Pac-12 at 30,000 people. The smallest stadium in the Big Ten,
Rutgers,
is Ryan Field.
Is Rutgers bigger than
49,000?
49,000?
I don't know what Rutgers is. I didn't look at them. I don't really count them.
I don't either. We've talked about this. It's Barry Alvarez's unique connection with New Jersey, where he gets all these recruits from. And he brought Rutgers in based on their winning they did a few years ago. But they just don't seem to fit in the Big Ten.
They don't. What is it?
I would rather see Iowa State come into the Big Ten. I think they'd be a great
So believe it or not, they're bigger than Ryan Field.
They're not as much of a pit.
So 53,744, and they have sold out pretty much every single game.
It's because they're playing Big Ten schools.
So Ryan Field is the smallest at 49,000.
It's an evil stadium.
Which is almost 20,000 more than the smallest stadium in the Pac-12.
It's evil.
And is larger than, oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is larger than 7 stadiums in the Pac-12.
Well, you look at stadiums like BYU. I've been in Salt Lake City, and that's a small stadium.
Yeah, well, and it's the same
amazing.
size. It's 200 smaller. Ryan Field is 200 smaller than the Sun Devil Stadium, which is 49.9. So it's right in that same ballpark. So really, it is bigger, the same size as all but 4 schools in the Pac-12.
It's still.
And now you're about to walk into stadiums that sell out at 100,000 people.
It's going to be an eye opener for them. I mean, it's going to be an eye opener to go to Ryan Field, which should be demanded to be blown up and them to go play someplace else. But it is such a pit. It's a great stadium for Northwestern because they do the fans are right on top of you. And it's hard to play at. It's been proven by not only Wisconsin, but every team that has to go in there.
Yeah, and it's just they beat up on each other. Yeah. It's a game of the trenches, and it's going to be, again, I've heard a lot of people say USC's going to now be one of the top 3 schools in the conference. Well, you couldn't compete in the Pac-12.
I don't think they're going to have to prove that to me. Look, is Wisconsin and Iowa going to have to pick up their game because odds are UCLA and USC are going to be in the Western Division? Yes, they're going to have to definitely
for a little bit. But again, USC and UCLA are not used to facing schools that have that many fans.
But
you're talking 7 stadiums in the Big Ten, 7 schools that have bigger stadiums than their largest.
And you know what's going to mean though for both the UCLA and USC and for the Big Ten teams? We're going to see much better recruiting for everybody involved.
Of course, for sure.
It's going to be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want people nationally to realize, and especially USC and UCLA fans, is that you are going to a conference where our smallest stadium in the Big Ten is in the top 5 in attendance in the Pac-12.
And again, we travel. Big Ten fans travel wherever they play.
It will be interesting to see, for sure.
Wisconsin went to Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa to play USF. The stadium was almost filled by Badger fans.
Correct.
USF had to be sitting there going, what the heck? Because they only draw, they usually draw 30, maybe 35,000.
And by the way, that's USF's home stadium.
It is. It's a big home stadium, but they don't fill it up.
It's where the Bucks play.
Yes.
And it's their home stadium. And it was 90% Badger fans.
There was a lot of red.
Yeah. Ohio State does the same thing.
Correct.
Michigan does the same thing. Minnesota does the same thing.
Nebraska,
Northwestern, Nebraska,
Iowa.
they all do the same thing. If you're thinking these
Michigan
guys aren't going to
State.
travel to LA for these games, you're out of your mind.
They're going to love it.
Once a
can't
year,
wait.
we get it out of the Midwest, get to go to LA.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's see how this goes. It's going to be an interesting
wait.
ride. I'm excited to see them in there. I hope they do compete. I hope they're prepared.
Oh, they're
because
gonna
I don't
compete.
think these guys are ready to hear these crowds and see these stadiums and how they fill up.
Well, conversely, I'm not sure the Big Ten is ready to see the level of talent that UCLA can bring, or USC rather can bring.
It's possible, but when it comes to those two California teams, when you're traveling to the Midwest, it is, Dorothy, you're not in California anymore.
No, and I still...
You may see the Big Ten as a bunch of little munchkins, but I tell you what, these munchkins pack a punch.
They do.
This isn't just Ohio State and Michigan up here. There's a lot of schools that have some big boys.
There is, and Oregon and Washington State, or Washington, desperately wanted to be part of the party in the Big Ten. They begged the Big Ten to take them right now. The Big Ten said, not yet. Just wait, because they're waiting to see what Notre Dame is going to do.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited for 2023 when these two schools come in. We're not done adding in the Big Ten. There's going to be more to this party, but USC, UCLA, get ready because it's going to get loud.
Loud and exciting and fun, and it's going to make football even better than it already is.
It is. I think we've had a fun show today. I think it's time to call it a wrap. Before we do head out, do you have any last words?
Enjoy the summer because it's starting to be chilly at night here.
I love it.
And just hold your families close and make sure you tell them that I love you very often. And I'm just glad you're back to take your own dog.
I'm happy to see Cooper too, that's for sure. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll see you very soon and see you next time. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.